you use a wheelchair, a walker, a cane, or you simply can't walk all day like you used to, your vacation shouldn't be limited. These are some cities I'd recommend if you want a destination that's easier to navigate without sacrificing amazing experiences. If you're new here, hi, my name is Brooke. I'm the founder of I'm Outta Here Travel, a bespoke travel planning company that specializes in making great experiences for people who have mobility challenges. Let's get right into it. I have a list of 4 cities that are great accessibility options. Speaking as an American, there are 2 domestic in my list and 2 international. Some may be obvious, but some may surprise you. Now just hold on a second here. If you're saying, well, hey Brooke, I'm not a city person, no big deal. This week's video focuses on cities, whereas videos in future weeks are going to focus more on beaches and natural wildlife and things that aren't so urban. So hang on there in the coming weeks. Today we're going to talk about cities. Also, at the very end of this video, I'm going to add on 2 cities that may surprise you in terms of their accessibility. So here we go into the 4 cities with 2 surprises at the end. Make sure you stay tuned to hear that. So my first domestic city, this will probably come as no surprise, Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a very accessible city. It's fairly flat if you're familiar with it. It has wide sidewalks on the strip. The one caveat I have for that is that the strip can be kind of crowded, so you may have to navigate around. But in any case, hotel rooms are accessible, the pathways are accessible, the public transit is accessible. And not only that, the casinos are also accessible. They make it easy to get through, again, barring big crowds. There are tables for various games that are lowered down to make them more accessible for all of us. So number 1, Las Vegas, in no particular order. Number 2, my second domestic city is Washington, D.C. Again, this may not come as much of a surprise since a lot of business happens there, our government happens there, it's a big international city. And one thing you may be aware of is one of the major attractions in Washington, D.C. are the Smithsonian museums. They range from history to art to the modern world to air and space, just everything that you might think of in an American museum. These museums, the majority of them have stair-free entries, which make it easy for everyone. Not only that, good news if you're unfamiliar with this, the Smithsonian museums are completely free to enter, so that makes things a little bit easier on the pocketbook. The metro, the major transportation between all of Washington, D.C. and some of the outlying regions, is also entirely accessible. It's easy to get a wheelchair on there, doesn't have much in terms of different levels, so whether you use a wheelchair or other type of assistive device, it should be easy to get on and off. So moving on to international cities. The first one, again, may not surprise you if you know a lot about traveling. First one of these on my list is Singapore. Singapore in Southeast Asia. You may be aware that it has a lot of really cool modern architecture. It's one of the major sites that people like seeing in Singapore. There is the tall Marina Sands building. You can, of course, see that from the outside. Going inside is completely accessible. There's also another major point of architecture in Singapore. If you have seen this, there's a botanical garden that has real plants. It's fairly large and it's nice to see. Again, paths, but make it easy for wheelchair or walkers to get through. And that garden has, it's kind of not real. They're fake trees that come out of the ground, and they're very cool to see. So all of those things are accessible and have pathways that are easy to get to. Public transit in Singapore is also barrier-free, which makes it easy to get between the places, and something that is also accessible that they have at night. They have light and water shows. It is an island on the water, so you should be able to see those easily. Now, number 4 of all of my cities in my list, and the second international city in the list, is Barcelona. Cities in Europe being on this list may surprise you. There are some cities in Europe that are historic and it's hard to get around. They have cobblestones and the old streets and lots of hills, but Barcelona has made things easy. In fact, all of their city buses are accessible, so even if you just wanted to sit in a bus and take it around all day and look around to see what you could see, that is an option there. Another couple of things they have to see, there's the famous architecture of Gaudi. He has lots of curves and lines. He was trying to make his architecture look more like plants, kind of the organic curves. It's very unique if you haven't seen pictures of it, and I recommend going into the Sagrada Familia and going and looking around at any of his other buildings. Barcelona also has a lot of beaches. It is right on the waterfront, and all the beaches have been made accessible. So they have boardwalks on them, again, making it easy for a wheelchair or a walker to get to. So that's really nice about that. So those are the 4 cities that I wanted to feature here. Las Vegas, Washington, D.C., and then jumping the pond one way, Singapore, jumping the pond the other way, Barcelona. There are 2 cities that I promised you at the end to give you as surprises. You might not be aware that these cities have a lot of accessibility. One's in the United States, one is not in the United States. So I'll talk about the one in the US first. It would be Tucson in southern Arizona. It is a small but mighty city if you've never been there. It is in the desert. It is a university city, so it has a lot of fun energy because of that. They also love to showcase their nature. There's a large botanical garden there. It has paved paths, again, making it easy to get around. Another thing in the Tucson area is Saguaro National Park. It is full of cacti and other types of succulent plants. Now, the thing about this that makes it really great, of course, there are hiking trails, you can camp out there, etc., etc. For people who have accessibility needs or maybe just have a little bit of time, there is a road, a ring road through the park. And I like taking it slowly when I'm there so that I can see everything. You can go up to I think 15, 20 miles an hour, so it's a slow speed limit there. But it sends you up and down the hills in amongst the cacti, looking down into canyons and valleys and things like that. So that's great news. You can see the park without even having to get out of your car, which is really nice in the summer because you know it gets super hot there too. So that's another added bonus. Think about national parks. I want to ask you all, if you have a mobility issue, do you have your National Parks Access Pass? I have one for myself, and that just is a pass that with a doctor's note declaring that you have a disability of some sort, you can take that to a local government office and they'll give you a free lifetime National Parks Pass for you and any 3 people coming with you. So if you're thinking, oh, well, I wouldn't be spending that much time in this national park, that justifies it a little bit more. And for those of us who have mobility challenges, it makes it a little bit more financially feasible because maybe you or I wouldn't be spending so much time in these parks as someone who does the hardcore hike. So that's just a reminder to get your access pass if you haven't looked into that yet, to get into all the American national parks. So my second surprise, and this blew me away when I was thinking about it and reading more into it, is actually in Europe. When I was talking about Barcelona earlier, I was saying you think about Europe, especially medieval Europe, you think of all the hills and the cobblestones and the castles up on the top of the peaks and things like that, and you think, oh, that would be really hard to get to. There's one city in southeastern Europe that's made an exception to this, and it is Ljubljana, Slovenia. If you're unfamiliar with that, if you have to look it up on a map, no big deal, but it's in southeastern Europe. It's part of the former Yugoslavia. It does have all the medieval architecture that we love seeing in Europe, but it has made a commitment to make all of this easier to get to for people who have mobility issues. So for instance, there is a castle on top of a hill that has a fantastic view. There is a lift to get you up there if you can't walk up the hill. So anyone with mobility challenges can still get up the hill. There's a lot of medieval historic architecture, like I had mentioned, but they keep accessibility in mind. Rather than having the really lumpy cobblestone streets, they still have some of that character, but it's been smoothed out quite a bit so that it's not so bad to take your wheelchair or walker over. Another good thing about Ljubljana is that it has no curbs. So usually when you're walking down a street anywhere, whether it's in the US or somewhere else, there are some curbs on the side, especially some places the curbs are high where there's a flood risk, or the curbs may be lower in other places. But what Ljubljana has done is it has just made a smooth transition from the street up to the sidewalk on the side. So that makes it easier on everyone who might have some walking challenges. So there's my list. There are the 4 cities, plus the 2 surprise cities maybe, to get you started thinking about where you want to go on your next trip. Again, I said earlier, if you're not a city person, hang in there. The video next week will talk about accessible beaches. And in future weeks, like I said, I'll talk about accessible non-urban places for people who prefer things like that. If you'd like to find the wheelchair accessible destination that checks all of your and your family's boxes, click on the link in the description below to book a call with me, and I'll be happy to help you find the trip that checks all your boxes and meets all of your needs. I'd love it if you could like and share this video. Follow my socials. They're down here on the screen. You'll see them right there. And for now, I'll see you next time from I'm Outta Here Travel.